Ooh, baby. We had a delay going live with the challenge a couple days while we get some of our sponsors and vendors fully dialed. But today I am going to cover the 0 to a million net challenge that I'm gonna be doing for, well, obviously 6 months, and it'll probably start sometime this week when we get all of our systems and processes set up. And I'm gonna cover absolutely all of that. When I say cover all of that, right? So we have like our CRM system, our integrations that I had to put together, and then eventually what our team's going to look like. Going. Oh man, Facebook changed up the interface. There we go. So our 0 to a million challenge is going to be absolutely insane. Everything that I'm going to be covering is going to be how to grow and scale a business in 6 months and get $1 million net in my bank account. That is the goal, and it'll probably be net between me and my partners. But still, I mean, it's going to be a wild, wild ride. And the way this came about is over the last 2 years, we've had another business that's been running, and we took that one to 7 figures. And honestly, we're just waiting on some payouts. I was like, what could we do that would be epic and big while we're waiting on that? And just one day over the weekend, I was like, oh wow, a 0 to a million challenge, I think, is going to be absolutely nuts. Like 7 figures net, not closing deals, but like putting people on who actually close deals for me, train up those sales reps, train up the dispositions people, and showing the entire process. And the biggest thing that held me back from doing it, obviously, was putting my balls out there on the line and showing everybody what I'm going to do and then failing in public if I crash and burn. And I think this is good for, and I really wanted to put this out for the younger entrepreneurs, because some people are like, oh, well, you didn't start from zero, blah, blah, blah. You didn't start from scratch. But I would say, because of the brand that I've built over time, the companies that I've built, and the other things that I've built and talked about, I've had other people who wanted to back me, who wanted to sponsor this whole thing, and be like, hey, I'm behind that. I think this is a really cool journey. I would love to get behind you, and let's just have you plaster us everywhere, which is crazy. If you think about it, we'll have sponsors paying for absolutely every aspect of this, as far as dispositions, leads, CRM, transaction coordination, and then my own company, Virtual Help, will sponsor whatever labor we need as we hire on virtual team members. And then if we decide to hire on Americans, I'll sponsor that myself as well. And then what else do I want to cover? We'll cover the sponsors as we get going. If you guys are in here, I see some people in here, drop your comments and let me know how you feel about this challenge, because this challenge is going to be absolutely gnarly and it's going to be a grind over the next 6 months. But I really want to accomplish like showing everything that it looks like over the time span. And so a big thing for me, I'm going to bring in the best experts that I personally know to come in when, let's say, we're running into an issue and I don't know how to solve it. I'm going to make a phone call. I'm going to have the person come on the live and just help walk me through that. And I don't think I've seen anybody do that. And then let's say if it's hiring sales reps, you guys probably know I'm going to bring in Steve Trang or Ren Bartlett. Like, hey, here's what I'm trying to do. Here's what it looks like. Here's what I'm trying to accomplish. What do you think? How should I handle this? Right. And then what I'm going to do with the cash afterwards, I think is going to be exciting. Obviously, I'm going to, well, not obviously, I'll donate 10% of the net proceeds to a charity that Kalani and I will choose. More than likely, it'll be Operation Underground Railroad. We donate 10% of our income the way it is right now. And I think it would be an awesome way to get that going. I mean, if we could get $100,000 to Operation Underground Railroad, I think that would be absolutely amazing. Oh, we forgot to include the Instagram people. Edgar Franco says this is dope. I'm on the same mission. This is going to be awesome to witness from Rudy, my man Rudy. Edgar's trying to do it in 12 months, though. Right? The 6 months, to me, I've never done anything close to that and like growing it that fast. Because I mean, 6 months, and I'm starting with this one. We won't have any infrastructure. I'll set up systems and processes, but I'm going to show you what it's like to grow something from the ground up and the hires you need to make, the fires that I'm probably going to have to make, the systems that I'm going to need to have in place because we'll be getting, let's say, anywhere from 20 to 20 plus leads a day. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but when we take 20 plus leads and we take that over that entire 6 month span, right? So we go, that's roughly 3,600 leads in that time span. And just in a month, so if we go 30 times 20, that's 600 leads that are going to be coming through just nonstop. Like we'll have 600 leads coming in. And I know based off of the math that I've done, right, it's going to take us at least 20 leads to close a deal. So if we crush and absolutely demolish month one, we'll close 30 deals. And our average assignment is probably going to be around $15,000 is what I'm betting on. Because we're going to do nationwide. We're going to go up and down the state of California because a lot of people, for whatever reason, on these challenges don't want to do California. And I think California is where we'll get the biggest rips. So if we're at 30 deals and I'm like, hey, we're going to make $15,000 a pop, that would take us to about $450,000, which personally I think is, yeah, Edgar, this will be strictly wholesaling, bro. We'll do actually some novations too. We have an Novation sponsor who we're going to be bringing on this, who's going to help us out a lot. But I don't think we'll hit that number right away because number one, in business, like the life cycle of your lead takes a while. That guy may come in, we'll get it signed, but then we're going to have a bunch of issues, title issues. And I'd say we'll close about 60% of the deals we lock up. So if it took 30 deals, really, out of those 30, we'd close 18, which would be about $270,000. If we absolutely crushed that in that time span, we would net $1.62 million in 6 months. If those are the metrics that we hit. So we close 1 in 20. It is a numbers game, but at the same time, in the workshop that we hosted this weekend, it was really being able to see data and make decisions and then pivot from there, right? So let's say if we aren't closing 1 in 20, but we're closing 1 in 30, then we need to look at where our leads are coming from and how we need to adjust. Or if we're closing 1 in 10, then we look at that. Or if we're like, hey, we're closing 1 in 5, but our average assignment is like $5,000. Do we really want to do this? And I'm going to go over all of those decision-making processes as far as, hey, these are the major metros that we want to target. We're going to target the Investor Lift top 100 major markets in America. Because for me, if we're going to do this, the biggest aspect is going to be being able to assign the deals. We can lock them up just fine. We're going to get plenty of lead flow. But if we get a deal in Timbuktu, like where we don't, and for the people in California, like we got a deal up in Oakhurst or something, or just up in the mountains, there's not a whole ton of buyers up there. Even if you do have Investor Lift, even if you do have the MLS, the inventory is going to be sitting forever. And if we get one locked up and we just want to take a stab at it, cool, and we can add it onto the board. But that's not revenue we can count on. And then the other thing I'm going to implement on this is I'm going to help a lot of people sell their own deals. They can bring them to us. We'll help them dispo them. And the big thing with that, again, that's more net profit. It's leads that are already at the finish line, and we just need to get them just to the closing table. And that'll be more net income coming towards us to help us reach our goal, right? So it'll be a mixture of JV stuff, which will be amazing. We'll be able to help a ton of people sell their deals, really show our sponsors. Investor Lift is going to be one of our sponsors and show how awesome that is. And then from there, we're going to show, hey, here's how you build a business on top of it. And the reason I wanted to bring in and start selling other people's deals, at one point in time, me and my friend Dean made $500,000 together. All I did was generate the leads, and then his team handled everything else. Right. And what was awesome about that is with that model that he applied, he added an extra net million to his company that year by doing that same thing we did together with a ton of other people. He added an extra net million with that alone. And so if we can hit our metrics on the direct to seller stuff and we can JV a bunch of other people's deals, we'll be able to crush this thing in no time. And even if we do, let's say like, hey, we blew it out of the water and we do it in 4 months, we'd still keep going to the 6 months to see what we can actually build. And I think this is going to be the best education for people who are in wholesaling who want to actually grow their company or even start from scratch and see what it looks like, because I'm going to stream as much of it as I humanly can. Right? Obviously, I'm not going to show you guys when I go to the bathroom or anything else, but like for a lot of seller calls, it's going to be there. For interviewing new sales reps, it's going to be there. For daily huddles, it's going to be there. So you know exactly how you need to run your company in order for it to be insanely profitable and then structured right. I'm going to show P&Ls every week of like, hey, so this is what our ad spend is. Here's how much we're spending on labor. Here's what these softwares would cost. And then here's where we're at. And so you guys can know, okay, so if this is what it looks like, I have the blueprint to go do it. Grant Danny asked, how many VAs will it take to do this? Thank you, Sam. I just saw your comment. I don't know if you're on here anymore, but thank you for calling me a stud. Shout out Sam Prim. Depending on it, we won't be doing a ton of cold calling. And the reason I chose not to do cold calling is that the timeline on that cold calling lead would not help me on this challenge. Right. And so with cold calling, it's going to take 6 to 9 months to close the deal. And that's really, really tough if you're trying, and that's from when a lead is generated. And so that would mean I would need to generate, because you'd probably close 1 out of 50 to 100 cold call leads. We'd need to generate a ton of cold call leads, essentially this week in the thousands, in order for us just to follow up with all these people and get them converted. And I only know one cold call company solely that does highly qualified leads immediately. And the labor cost on that, in order for me to ask them to sponsor, wouldn't make sense. We got quite a few people in here. Guys, what questions and what are your thoughts about this challenge? Because I'm super stoked. I'm excited to get it going. Oh, bro. Sam, you're still in here. Thank you. I am. Keep grinding. Let's go live next week. Bro, Sam, I would love to go live with you. Henry, I'd love to go live with you next week too. I just saw you in here. Sam, I'd love to get your input on the whole thing too. For those of you guys on Facebook, I'm talking to Sam Prim. He is an absolute monster in social media, but he is an even bigger monster in the real estate space as far as his own business. Chang, thank you, bro. Edgar, yeah, strictly wholesaling. Dewan, it's a numbers game. Bro, once you get Victor Morales, bro, thank you, Victor. Once you get your KPIs dialed, then we can make better decisions. And this has been my theory for a very long time. Once the marketing and lead flow is dialed in, the biggest thing that you need to worry about is how you can lead people and build teams. That is what I have seen over time in the other companies that we've grown. Once the lead flow is figured out, now it's me being able to give people autonomy, give them the ability to lead them, give them all the tools they need to be successful, so I can keep growing the company with my unique ability, which is probably my vision, and then being able to build relationships with other people. And that's that, right? So eventually you guys will see that I'll be having someone else running the sales calls. Yep, KPIs. I'll cover this real quick, Edgar. I'll have someone else running the sales calls. I'll have a full sales team. I'll have a dispositions person. Like I'll build all that out, just like we've built out other companies. So now everyone can see like, hey, here's what it looks like. Here's the operational issues. We won't document like issues we're having with people where we have to fire them and everything else. We don't want to put them on blast on public like it's some reality television show. But I do think it'll be really, really entertaining. What inbound will you focus on? It'll be mainly Facebook, Instagram, YouTube ads, and Google. Those will be all the ads, and we'll have a certain sponsor who's going to front all of our ad spend, which is amazing, right? I think that's the coolest part. What marketing will you focus on? Same thing, Dewan. It'll be all inbound leads. And the reason we're not doing outbound is the only way I can really get outbound going and make this work is if I cold called in the wealthiest areas in San Francisco and Los Angeles. And I just did that forever. And then hopefully I could pray that we could get some bigger ones to close in that span of time, which I believe would be really, really, really hard. To where with the inbound leads, the biggest reason I picked this for inbound marketing is because they come in and they're ready to go. Anybody who clicks on an ad, there's like a lot of intent there. And cold calling works, but for this, it wouldn't be to my benefit because, like I said, the tailwinds behind a cold call lead, you're going to be working it for 6 to 9 months. And then we'll have the biggest thing. RE Simply is actually our CRM sponsor, and then Omni Drip is who built out all of our drip campaigns. Anybody who comes in, we have an entire drip campaign sequence, and that just means a bunch of different automations that will text, drop voicemails, and send them letters of anybody who didn't convert. And that's going to be huge. Yeah. If you can afford to do the inbound on top of your outbound or do a mixture of both, I think it's a great idea right now. And again, for this, if I wanted to do this cold calling, I know the amount of manpower that would take in order for it to even like resemble what I needed it to be. And I wouldn't be able to make it happen in that timeline. What's going on, Henry? What's going on, Lorenzo? Thanks for tuning in, my man. Any other questions, guys? John Wayne Johnson, this is so dope, man. Bro, thank you. The best way you guys could show support is by sharing this with your friends, tuning in daily. We're going to be doing it daily, all that good stuff. Tell everybody, share it online. We'd love to get the sponsors some love. I'd love to show everybody what it looks like to build a company that nets $1 million. I got a couple more minutes before I got to go pick up my son from tutoring, take him to Taekwondo, and get all that going. So you guys have any other questions, comments, whatever, and you guys are going to be able to listen in on the sales calls too and the disposition calls so you guys can see the best way to operate. And that's really the number one thing I wanted to do. By essentially, I put my ego and my reputation on the line as an entrepreneur by doing this in public, right? Because everybody can say that they're the best entrepreneur, they're the best leader and everything else. But when you do it in public and then everybody can watch you crash and burn in public and you can't hide those losses, I think it's a completely different game. Back to Instagram quick. Key the Giant. Grant, what are my startup costs? So I have 0 startup costs. And that's why at the beginning, I talked about this. I sat down and I thought, okay, what is something that I have that other people want that I could use to help me get here? And the biggest thing that I have that gives me the most leverage is my brand in several different ways. I use it to raise money. I've used it to grow companies. But I knew if I was like, hey, we have a really big brand, I know sponsors would sponsor everything that I do for this. And it would cost me $0 out of pocket, really, besides we pay for some like nominal things like Zapier, and we'll have like an administrative person on the background at the beginning. But besides that, I have 0 cost, and so call that $1,000. I don't even know how much honey costs. Honey is probably $1,000 to $1,500, and then we have another couple $100 in Zapier. I paid $70 for a logo, and I paid $20 for a domain. Like I went and bought a new domain. I went and got a new logo. Our domain is easyfastoffers.com. Super excited about that one. I can't believe that one was available. But that, Grant, that's all we got, bro. Like it shouldn't cost me anything at the beginning. And I wanted to show people, if you can just sit and think about what you have and what you can bring to the table, you can really structure whatever deals you want. You just have to think about it and then see what you can get going. And even at the beginning when I was wholesaling, at a point in time, I had 2 different JV partners who fronted all my marketing to get going, and they just wanted a cut of the deals because those people didn't want to do all the effort, and then they knew I could work and get it all done. All right, Grant, bro, I think that domain is worth $1 million net profit. Easy Fast Offers, like how is that available? I'm so stoked. easyfastoffers.com. What would be your target property type? We're just going for houses, bro. We're going for houses. We could, if multifamily stuff comes along, we could do that. It's a little bit harder to move. You can make bigger rips, but I don't know anybody. It's a different type of avatar. You know, a distressed home seller is different than a distressed apartment complex seller or like a distressed land seller. And I don't really get land. The dudes over at HiveMind really get it. Me, not so much. And I know the dudes over at HiveMind are doing like $1 million months. That's just not anything I'm super confident in. And I don't see the tools and resources available to make that challenge weighted on my side to be successful. I know right now with the tools I have, the odds of me being successful are extremely high, in my opinion. Like extremely, extremely high. I really doubt I'll lose and not complete the challenge. The biggest thing will be just even the thought of messing up on it and losing would suck balls. All right, guys. What's going on, Juju? All right, I got to hop. I'm going to go take Zeno to Taekwondo, watch him kick some other kids in the head. We'll be getting this going over the next couple days. We're just getting a couple other things lined up with our sponsors. We'll have we're going to show you guys all the bells and whistles behind everything that we're doing to highlight the sponsors. And these are all stuff that I use and I've used over time that I think is going to be amazing. Like ReSimpli is one of our sponsors, and I think it's the best. It is by far the best CRM out there for real estate investors, of having everything all in one, being able to keep everything in one place, having the right KPI dashboard. And then even for our other sponsors, everybody's going to see like what the net profits look like week by week because it'll show us in ReSimpli. And then if you're an entrepreneur and you don't think you can win, you're doing yourself a disservice, right? We should all have that mindset for sure. Bro, I think if you're an entrepreneur, you're in the game. And I had to fix this mindset because we were waiting on so much cash to where I felt like I was playing way too defensive in my business decisions, in my leadership, and just everything that I'm doing. To where Stratton Brown as an entrepreneur is like pretty aggressive. He wants to go do big things. And I felt myself playing way too defensive for a very long time. And so if you feel that way, just go out there and get it done. It took me a while. I mean, it took me a couple months to get out of the defensiveness. And that's when I finally came up with this. And I was like, okay, I'm focused. I know what to do. I'm going out for this. And yeah. So yeah, if you are struggling with not thinking you're going to win, if you don't believe in yourself, for sure, no one else is going to believe in you. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will talk to you guys tomorrow.